Hey YouTube, Townhouse Gardener here. It is now Tuesday, June 15th, I believe, or something like that. It's the following Tuesday after my last update. Actually, it's not the 15th, it's the 18th. Anyway, it's Tuesday. 1 week since I did the Azomite, Epsom salts, everything else, and I have had tremendous growth. Everything is super green. Honestly, I don't think the Azomite would have kicked in this fast. I think that it is just because of the rain. But I'm going to do a side-by-side comparison, I think, and plant two plants in some pots. Put Azomite with one, and just to see the differences, because I just realized that when I put it on everything, it's so hard to tell. Everything is extremely big from last week. In 1 week's time, I'm blown away by how much growth I've had. So anyway, here's my update. My dill has all started to come up little by little. I have just little sprouts everywhere. My thyme, cinnamon, basil, salvia, and my radishes. I don't know, I had issues with these ones at work too. Same kind. They're just kind of not doing anything, so I don't really care about them. I don't really like radishes that much anyway. Just growing them just to grow them. My loofah is now on top of the rope, starting the climb. My okra, lavender, these are the mini bells which have come up. I don't know what's really going to happen with these besides, I know they'll grow and they'll get a little bit of size. We still have 5 months worth of growing, so I'm just going to let them be, see what happens. My cilantro, nothing has happened. I realized because of the heat, the cilantro is probably going to come out and then it's going to bolt pretty much right away. But I kind of figured that's alright. I'll get more seeds, and then also it'll cause it to where it'll hopefully help produce just flowers for bees. So anyway, there's that. Here is my blueberry plant, which has blueberries on it. I haven't covered it with netting because I don't know, I just kind of figured that if I don't get anything, I don't get anything. This is the first year. I wasn't really planning on it. If I do, I do. If not, the birds can eat. So, my Brussels sprouts, I cut some of the bottom leaves off. I heard that it's good to do that on Brussels sprout plants. And then when I was looking, I realized that these ones right down here, I had cut off a couple weeks ago. And then these ones up here were still here. If you can tell the size difference, the ones without the leaves are way bigger. So I went ahead and just trimmed it up more. So a lot of those leaves were the old ones that got eaten up by the caterpillars anyway. So I went ahead and cut them off. I forgot to show this in my last video, but I have rutabaga seeds all throughout, spaced. They're all spaced about every 5 inches or so. But those all came up pretty much within a couple days of planting them. I planted them probably about a week and a half ago. I had to thin them out a lot. Like, they're all bunched. Pretty much all my seeds came up. I love the heirloom seeds from Baker Creek. I have such a successful germination rate. So my onions, you can see a couple are missing. I have had some and they taste awesome. Strawberries, nah, I'm not counting on any strawberries this year. I'm just kind of letting it go. It's just a green plant. My sunflowers, I cut out my beans at the bottom. I just realized with this pot, I just think it was too much to have that with my sunflowers, and I think they were taking up too much of the energy. So since I cut them out, I have some new leaves, and if you can tell the difference, these leaves are kind of pale. These leaves are like super dark green. So I'm really happy about that. I think that I should have done this a long time ago, but I think that the plant is going to be a whole lot healthier But well, also between the Epsom salts and the Azomite that I put on here helps make it green too. But yeah, I think that it was just too much to have the beans in there. My peppers, I have peppers on everything. It's just loaded with chili peppers. I got my Anaheims on everything. My Marconi peppers. I have cayenne peppers on everything. My gypsy tomato plant, just loaded. I have so many tomatoes all over this. One thing was when I did my update last week, my tomato plant was probably about 3 inches above the fence line, and now it is easily a foot above the fence line. It is almost up to my wire, and I started letting, instead of having just the center, because I kind of want to make one of these tomato trees that I've seen where it just consumes everything. So I've been letting different suckers grow up towards the top. Like I have one right here, which I put a string to. I have one over here, which I put a string to, and then there's another one right back here, which I have a string to, which they all have tomatoes on them already too. So I'm just letting the top of it just grow wide. These plants I don't really care about. They're supposed to be cherry tomatoes, and these are not cherry tomatoes. There's no way that is a cherry tomato. If it is, that is a massive, massive tomato. Massive cherry. So there's that. My cucumbers. In 1 week time, I've heard a couple videos to where they say just once the cucumber actually shows, once it's pollinated, it grows super fast. So in the past week, when I didn't have anything, I now have tons. I have cucumbers all over this thing. Every vine, let me see. Just every single vine has them. There's more that are being pollinated. It seems like the ones down at the bottom just had a tough time. But they're just everywhere, and actually I have already cut probably 5 of them off. And this has all been since last week. Last week I didn't have anything. On Sunday we had family over, and they've been asking me for cucumbers since, I don't know, last year, since I took my last plant out. And these plants are just huge. I mean, they have grown easily a little over a foot in a week's time. So here is my cucumber plants, peppers. Everything is super green. I mean, I guess it is from the Azomite and the Epsom salts, but everything is just super green. I don't have any yellowing on anything out here except for my sunflower plants. Everything else is super green. Well, actually a couple of my green bean plants over there too that are smothered by my squash plant. But that's alright. I counted the green beans as a wash anyway. I got a question for you guys. Here is a green pepper plant, and if you can see, I have a hole in the top of it. When I saw that, I took the pepper off, and I just tossed it. A lot of stuff I'll just toss down at the bottom, let it compost. Leaves, like I did it with my Swiss chard over here. But I wanted to know if you guys know what that is that's drilling into my peppers. If it is a deficiency with the minerals, or if it is just a bug. So if you guys have any advice on that, let me know. So I have harvested, like I said, cucumbers. I have harvested some of my bell peppers, which were great. Banana peppers, a couple serrano peppers. My 13-year-old nephew, says how tough he is and how he can eat whatever peppers. It's not too hot, so I cut him out a serrano pepper and let him have it, and he started crying. So that just makes me feel like a proud uncle. My tomato plant here is doing great. I'm letting all the suckers go pretty much now. I got the space since I can spread them over to the left. This Rutgers isn't getting any taller, but it has lots of tomatoes on it, so I just figured instead of getting taller, I'll just let it produce what it has. So here's this. My eggplants have flowers on them. These are the 2 watermelons that I planted in the buckets. This one's doing alright. Planted them at the same time. This one's doing alright. It has some true leaves coming. But this one over here is doing really good. It has a few true leaves coming. So when you look at this one, which was planted probably about 2 weeks ago, compared to this one over here, which this one is vining out, and it will come down, but it's just, in comparison, I think this one looks a whole lot greener, and I think it's going to do a whole lot better overall. So my zucchini plant was doing awesome since last week. I had maybe 1 true leaf on it, so that's doing good. I have true leaves on everything else. My kale, I cut off the top of it. I harvested a bunch of it, gave it to my mother-in-law. She's going to cook it up. Basil, my marigold plant is doing great. It's kind of covering my oregano, which for some reason is dying. So I don't know if it's just because it's not getting the sun. It might be. But my purple basil, doing awesome. My sunflowers here, I'm probably going to cut out these green beans too. But one thing, last week I did not have an open sunflower. And now I have all these heads which have gotten super tall. And I have an open sunflower. It's still very small, but I am guessing it just gets wider because those sunflowers are very small. The seeds are very small. So we'll just kind of see. It's my first one I've ever grown, so see what happens. Soybeans, doing awesome. My corn is getting bigger. My squash plant, when I cut it off, it was, I don't know, it was maybe like this last week. It was super small, and now all this new growth. I got squash all inside of it. Let me see if I can get a view. There's just little squash everywhere. I've been pollinating, hand pollinating, just to let it get a little bit better, because I've been having some issues with just some that are just falling off. My green beans are just, they don't get enough sun, so they don't do that great, but I do have green beans on them. My cucumbers, my straight 8 cucumbers that I planted back here weren't even up last week, and now they are up across the board. I have thinned them out, and I have true leaves on everything. So those are doing awesome. These all got just the same. I put bone meal down when I dug the hole. So I put bone meal down, planted the seeds, covered it. Then later when I came back, I put the Epsom salts around the tops where the roots were going to be. And then I put Azomite once I got it. My loofah over here is doing good. Down at the bottom, some of the leaves actually don't look that great. I found that I'm having a lot of ants. So they are climbing up my sunflowers over in these pots too. My mammoth sunflowers have a lot of ants as well. I'm not sure what to put for those. So if you got any advice on ants, let me know that as well. My compost bin. I was messaging Mark to see. I told him that last time, a week ago when I had this, it was filled up to probably this line, and then I just added all this green, but everything turned and looked just like normal soil. I do see some shreds that are still in it. I do think it does need a little bit more time, but I don't know, it seemed like it composted really fast. So anyway, here is that update. It all just looks like compost. I don't know if it's just because I tumble it every day and it's been around 100 degrees, so it gets super hot in there and it bakes really good. But anyway, Swiss chard, not a whole lot has been happening with this. I got spinach in there too. The spinach is coming up in this bed, or this box, but my sunflowers, I put up some string around this just to hold it together, hopefully in better support. Basil, onions. This is my corn, which last week my corn was probably a little bit shorter than this, and now it's really tall in comparison. It more than doubled in size. So here's that. And my beans, these are the purple beans, pole beans. They all, I don't even know if they were up when last week. They've all come up. They're starting to get true leaves. I put my strings up, and I'm hoping to create just a wall of beans, which I think will be cool. Just everything else is just doing really good overall. I think next year, I don't know, depending on how the loofah does. I know that it's still early for it, but instead of doing the loofah on my clothesline going across, I might just put a bunch of these boxes going across and just make a wall of beans. I thought that would be kind of cool. So anyway, here is my update 1 week after the Azomite, Epsom salts, and whatnot. Everything is just super tall, super green, super big, and the cucumbers were delicious. Last year I let them go to about a foot long. This year they were only maybe 6-7 inches long, and they were just awesome. So here is my update from 1 week later. I appreciate you watching. Let me know if you got any questions, comments, if you would like the video, and thanks for watching. Bye.